How's it going, everybody? Hopefully we're all enjoying our Sunday. In whispers we govern, in the elements we obscure. We are the remembered, we are the returned. We are the whispers. Today I have prophetic messages of Ra. I'm going to jump right into it with the Sun squared Uranus acting as a lightning rod of individuality, crackling with unpredictability and a penchant for smashing through the confines of the norm. Your identity is intricately woven with a profound sense of personal freedom. This is an emphasis with Uranus as the brainstorm, or the eye of the storm, depending on where you're at, karmically, of course. The Sun squared Uranus natal encourages you to do things your way. As a very complex person, you are most likely brilliant and independent. This is a need and a call to be the leader, not the follower. We've got the Sun squared Lilith with understanding, power play, and dominance as a consistent theme. But today, with this, we see an infinity for seeing one's dark side through the light. It's a unification of light and dark, it seems, to create incredibly strong-willed, feisty individuals. We've got Lilith 17 coming through as a number, coming through as Psalms 17. Lilith is saying through Psalm 17, as a prayer of David, likely written during a time of persecution where he appeals to God for deliverance and protection from his enemies. David asserts his innocence and righteousness, asking God to examine his heart and actions. He contrasts his own focus on spiritual life and God's presence with his enemies' focus on earthly possessions and worldly desires. The psalm culminates in a hope for future blessedness in God's presence. Now, there was a scientific aspect that came through as a euphemistic analogy here. Chemically speaking, 17 is Ci, which is chlorine. It's a chemical element with the symbol Ci and the atomic number 17. Key properties is it is a gas at room temperature. It is a yellowish-green color. The odor is pungent, irritating, and similar to bleach. The reactivity is a highly reactive and strong oxidizing agent. The density is heavier than air, and its occurrence is not found freely in nature, but commonly found in compounds like sodium chloride. Now, the toxicity of Ci is its elemental chlorine gas, which is toxic to human beings, but chloride ions, which are Ci negative, are harmless. The uses of Ci are water purification, chemical production, and disinfectants. It's used in various industries and applications as a disinfectant, including hospitals, pharmaceuticals, or the streets. Again, apply to euphemism where necessary. It was famously used as a chemical weapon during World War I. Ci has always been an abundant compound in the ocean and in use of war. World War I, war on drugs, war against bacteria. Again, there's various ways that Spirit is conveying this information, which is why I always emphasize the need to layer the euphemism where applicable. Now, when we use Ci to oxidize, we see results in things that undergo or cause to undergo a reaction in which electrons are lost to another species, body, entity, or hierarchy. Again, layer where needed. We have the messages of Babylon coming in through the gates of Persephone. The Gatekeeper, 33, Lahuai, is associated with the powers of choir of angels and is believed to represent the all-knowing God. This psalm is the biblical verse associated with Lahuai is Psalm 94, verse 11. It says Occultic Encyclopedia, which states, "The Lord knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity." This is also associated with the Nine of Pentacles in Tarot, when upright generally signifies material success, independence, enjoying the fruits of one's labor, and it can also represent self-sufficiency and comfortable, even luxurious lifestyles. However, when reversed, it can indicate excessive materialism, financial recklessness, or a focus on material gain at the expense of emotional fulfillment. This is where we lack clarity in one's motives and initiatives, and allow the egotistical and illogical aspects of the emotional self to overtake the logical and the intuitive self. It's also an over-reliance on material security. It can suggest a fear of losing what has been gained, and that will be the outcome, leading to a lack of generosity or openness to new experiences. You are limiting yourself by limiting others. We've got the Sunshine Chiron, embracing healing and transformation. You have a unique sense of purpose and mission and make the most of life's challenges. Your ability to find empowerment and strength in adversity is sublime. With Chiron 28, we have Psalm 28, which is a prayer attributed to David, expressing a plea for help and deliverance, which also acknowledging God's strength and faithfulness. The psalm features a plea for God to not be silent and hear the speaker's supplications, particularly against the wicked who speak peace but harbor malice. This is a decreance of a chironic energy. It also celebrates God as a source of strength and refuge and concludes with a prayer for God's people and their inheritance. We've got Seria coming through, or Sihia, which is the 28th angel of the Shem HaMephorash. In Kabbalistic tradition, Sihia is associated with the Dominion's choir of angels and is known for signifying good judgment, prudence, and longevity. His name often is interpreted as the God who took evil. Protective qualities include being protected against infirmities, fire, ruined buildings, collapse, and other maladies, and is also associated with health and longevity. Now, the biblical verse associated with this angelic being is Psalms 71, verse 12. In the New King James Version, it reads, "O God, do not be far from me. O my God, make haste to help me." This verse is a plea and a decreance for God's presence and immediate assistance in a time of trouble, reflecting the psalmist's trust in God's faithfulness and power to deliver. The verse emphasizes the urgency of the psalmist's need and their faith in God's ability to act quickly, swiftly, and strategically. This came through with the energy of somebody planning something, as if somebody's in danger or something's in danger, but the need for said group or individual to perceive the negative impact on their well-being for doing such things is superseded by the instinctual need of survival. Now, in biblical context, this is also related. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, guys. Siahia is linked to Berith, who is described as a fallen angel or demon associated with covenants and oaths. Now, in the biblical context, Baal Berith, the name Baal Berith, or Baal of the Covenant, appears in the Bible, Judges 9, verse 46, as a deity worshipped in Shechem. El Berith is another title for God, meaning God of the Covenant. Now, covenant, the term Berith itself is Hebrew for covenant or agreement. It's used in various contexts related to covenants in Jewish traditions, such as Brit Milah, circumcision, a cutting or ties of things for human beings. Now, as once being the prince among the cherubians, a celestial order of angels before falling, Berith can assist in guidance and self-exploration. In an initiatory context, Berith might be used as a tool for understanding the self, including processes of personal development and strengthening one's inner being. He is also linked and accredited with the acquisition of knowledge. He is said to give truthful answers regarding the past, present, and future. Now, this is coming through as an omen. The omen of Berith coming through as a warning from the God of the Covenant. Through Mars and Libra energy 57, Psalm 57, which is a prayer of refuge and a trust in God during a time of distress. The psalm, written by David while fleeing from King Saul in a cave, expresses his faith in God's protection and his desire for God's glory to be revealed. Now, here, Berith is being somewhat of a smartass, is what I'm gauging from the interpretation, with an emphasis on out of time. He's urging you to seek refuge in God despite the lack of availability of God's presence in those due to certain oaths. Not just their oaths, but double trouble for the lack of obligation to oaths and duties and contracts and the nature of said duties, oaths, and contracts. We've got Apophis coming through as the infernal collector. In ancient Egyptian religion, Apophis, also known as Apep, was the serpent-like embodiment of chaos and darkness, the enemy of the sun god Ra. Apophis represented everything outside the ordered cosmos and threatened the underworld. Apophis is not just a serpent, he embodies the primordial chaos that existed before creation. So, anybody following Anton LaVey's Leviathan beliefs, Apophis makes Leviathan look like child's play. Apophis would eat Leviathan as a morning snack. So one who harnesses the energy of Apophis would brutally obliterate those following the energies of the Leviathan. Now, Apophis represents the forces of darkness, evil, destruction, constantly working to undermine the creation and bring about chaos. Again, one of my favorite Latin phrases, ordo ab chao, ordo stems from chaos, ordo of chaos. Order comes from chaos. Where there is destruction, for those in the creative nature, leads to order. Now, here, as an interesting perspective, with the Golden Alchemist awakening and the themes of unification of light and dark, and unifying the colors on a star to ascendant blooming, Apophis, in this interpretation, would be devouring the evil in our world as the primordial source of evil. The most evil would be the inherent God complex in people believing they make judgments of God and are so limited in their real spiritual ability that evil would supersede a primordial energy, leaving the origins of chaos no choice but to pay a visit as the flesh of man insists on stepping on the theoretical toes of the divine. Now, imagine being so lost in a self-inflated ego that you made enemies with the most sublime being, embodying the very essence of Apophis itself, which would possess vast godlike powers with the ability to warp reality and an extent and control chaos in the sense of maintaining cosmic order if a disruption or imbalance would occur, in order to maintain stability where a 0 proceeds a 1 constantly in a spiral. This would not only awaken the like of Ra, but Apophis itself, unifying through one ascended channel to obliterate the very nature of the enemy of God himself. So, in terms of perception of evil, imagine a God complex manifesting in human beings, challenging the very nature of chaos and evil, actual evil itself, to the fact of it awakening and unifying with light to destroy that evil for stepping on actual destructive forces' toes. That would be wild. But that is all I have today in the prophetic messages of the sun, Ra, the beings of light, primordial and primeval essences. Hopefully you guys found it entertaining. I'll see you in the next one.